The method used to storm a fortified enemy position during World War I is shown in Reel 3 of this collection, documenting a German soldier's experience on the Western Front. There are more reels to follow, so stick around. It's worth it. I promise. Angriff im Stellungskrieg. Vorbereitungsfeuer. Initially, with the use of preparatory fire, the goal was the total destruction of the enemy. However, as the war progressed and defenses became more sophisticated, the focus shifted towards suppressing the enemy so that they couldn't fight back. Schneiden von Sturmgassen vor einem Angriff. Clearing a path through no man's land was one of the most dangerous and technically difficult tasks of the war. If the barbed wire remained intact when the whistle blew, the attack was almost certainly doomed. To cut these ways, the military used a combination of brute force, high explosives, and stealthy manual labor. For most of the war, heavy artillery guns were used to blast the wire. However, standard shells often buried themselves in the mud before exploding, simply tossing the wire around and creating a worse tangle. More reliable but dangerous was having the wire cut by hand. Before an attack, small parties would crawl into no man's land at night. Wire cutters, often attached to the rifles, could be wrapped in cloth to muffle the ping of the metal snapping. Die letzten Sekunden vor dem Antreten zum Sturm. Early in the war, commanders relied on weight of numbers. The belief was that if enough men charged simultaneously, the moral shock and sheer volume of bayonets would overwhelm the defenders. Modern technology had outpaced these tactics. A single machine gun could mow down an entire line in seconds. The preparatory artillery fire proved to be ineffective. As soon as it stopped, the defenders would man their guns and easily pick off the charging attackers. To solve the problem of defenders returning to their guns, the creeping barrage was developed. This required extreme synchronization between the infantry and the artillery. Instead of shelling stopping before the attack, the wall of explosions would move forward at a set pace, example, 50 yards every 2 minutes. The infantry followed as closely as possible, often within 20 to 30 yards of their own falling shells. The goal was to keep the enemy in their dugouts until the moment the infantry reached the trench lip. The widespread use of the wristwatch was critical here, as officers had to time their movements to the minute to avoid being hit by friendly fire. By the final years, the mass wave was abandoned for more flexible, decentralized methods. Pioneered by the Germans, Stoßtruppen. These tactics replaced the rigid line with small, specialized squads. The core of Stormtrooper tactics was infiltration. The goal was not to capture an entire trench line in one go, but to find and exploit soft spots. Unlike regular infantry, Stormtroopers were ordered to bypass enemy strongpoints, like heavy machine gun nests. They moved rapidly into the enemy's rear area to destroy headquarters, communication lines, and artillery positions. This paralyzed the enemy, making it impossible for them to coordinate a counterattack. Standard infantry followed behind the Stormtroopers to deal with the bypassed strongpoints that had now been isolated and surrounded. In dem Draht- und Grabengewirr der starken feindlichen Stellungen entwickelt sich nach dem Einbruch ein zähes Ringen jeden Fußbreit Boden. Once arriving to the enemy trench line, the soldiers didn't climb down, they jumped. This was often the first moment of face-to-face contact. If the artillery hadn't done its job, attackers might land directly onto a waiting bayonet or be shot at point-blank range while still mid-air. The battle then shifted from a long-range shootout to a brutal room-to-room style of combat known as trench clearing. This was a systematic process designed to mop up defenders who were often hiding in dugouts or waiting around corners. The process followed a distinct tactical rhythm, often referred to as bomb and bayonet. Trenches were never straight lines. They were built in a zigzag pattern with 90-degree turns called traverses. This prevented an enemy from firing down the entire length of the trench. A clearing party usually consisted of 5 to 8 men. The point man carried a bayonet, while the second and third men were the bombers. When the team reached a corner, the traverse, a bomber would lob a grenade around it. Immediately after the blast, a bayonet man would rush the smoke-filled corner to kill or capture anyone left. Clearing dugouts was the most terrifying part of the assault. Defenders would hide in deep underground shelters. Moppers up would stand at the entrance and shout for surrender. If there was no immediate response, they would drop multiple grenades down the stairs and spray the entrance with fire. Contrary to popular belief, attacking forces frequently won the first or second line of enemy trenches. With enough artillery, you could almost always take the ground immediately in front of you. This is where the attacks failed. Once the first trench was taken, the attackers were exhausted, out of communication with their commanders, and exposed to counterattacks. If you like productions like this, created from primary historical sources, please take the time to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Patreon supporters get regular access to exclusive footage that can't be shown here. Open a free account on our website military1945.com and stay informed. Thanks for watching.